Hello, my name is Kwekwe. I'm a pharmacist. In today's video, I want to highlight 7 foods that are known to cause inflammation, which I believe you should consider either completely eliminating or at least cutting back on them if you want to avoid the health risks that they pose. Now, inflammation is how our body responds or fights things that can potentially harm us, such as germs, pathogens, or even injuries. So inflammation per se is not a bad thing. Usually, the body is very good at controlling inflammation, so it does what it's supposed to do and then it stops, and therefore it typically doesn't pose a problem. However, if inflammation becomes a chronic thing, that is, if inflammation continues for a prolonged period of time, then it can lead to certain problems such as diabetes, heart disease, and even some cancers. Certain foods have been identified as having pro-inflammatory properties, and therefore when consumed in large quantities or even over an extended period of time, they tend to keep your body in a constant state of inflammation, which may cause some of these health risks that I listed before. The first one is sugar and high fructose syrup. I mean, this is Captain Obvious. At this point in time, I'm sure everybody is aware that sugar and high fructose causes significant inflammation and a lot of significant health issues. High fructose syrup, it tends to be the sweetener of choice for most of the food industry, especially the soda industry. And I have a whole video detailing the dangers of high fructose. I'm going to link that in the description. You can check it out. But study after study has proven that sugar and high fructose syrup causes significant inflammation in the body. Now, it's interesting because these days manufacturers know that the consumers are very well informed, so they market sugar under various names, sugar and the raw, organic sugar, things like that. It doesn't matter how well sugar is packaged or the name that is given to sugar, it is still sugar. Matter of fact, if you compare organic sugar and just regular cane sugar side by side, it doesn't differ in any way in terms of the calories or its ability to cause inflammation. So be on the lookout, watch out for how some of these manufacturers tend to hide the sugar in their product. Number 2 is trans fats. Now, trans fats are unsaturated fats that have been chemically modified by a process called hydrogenation so that they become more stable, so that they can last longer on the shelf. That is why if you have store-bought cookies, they tend to last almost indefinitely. But if you bake a cookie at home, within a couple of hours or days, the cookie tends to go bad. Trans fats have been well documented to cause serious inflammation. They raise your bad cholesterol. They increase your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and a whole host of other metabolic diseases. Foods high in trans fat include margarine, shortening, processed foods like store-bought cookies, as I mentioned earlier. Now, interestingly, here in the US, manufacturers can label their food as being trans fat free if they contain less than 0.5 grams per serving. But the thing is, what constitutes a serving is not regulated. So for example, if the manufacturer decides that half of a cookie is a serving and that half of the cookie contains 0.4 grams of trans fat, they legally don't have to display that on the label that that cookie contains trans fat. So you consume just one cookie and you have 0.8 grams of trans fat. And I know most people will not eat just one cookie at a time. So if you're eating 2 cookies, 3 cookies, you can see how easily and how quickly the trans fat can pile up. So one of the best things you can do for yourself as a consumer is to really educate yourself on reading food labels and understand what exactly or how these manufacturers try to hide things like this. Another thing that manufacturers do to try to hide these trans fats is that they use fancy names. They will say partially hydrogenated fats or hydrogenated fats. All of them are trans fats. Matter of fact, I'm coming up with a video that highlights some of the ways by which these manufacturers hide some of these bad things in food. Number 3 is refined carbohydrates. Now, refined carbohydrates are those that have their fiber and their nutrients pretty much stripped out of the product. So you end up with a product that is devoid of pretty much any nutrient, and they typically tend to be white in color. So typical example are white bread made from white flour, tortillas made from white flour, bagels, pastries, and things of that sort. Now, not only do these refined carbohydrates cause significant inflammation, they also have what we call a high glycemic index. And what that means is that when you eat refined carbs, they are quickly digested and absorbed into the blood. They cause an insulin spike, and because they are quickly digested, what ends up happening is that if you eat refined carbs, it doesn't take long for you to get hungry again. So you're always in the constant state of feeling hungry, eating more. Obviously, that leads to weight gain. You always have your insulin consistently raised, and that is definitely not a good thing because for the long term, that can lead to insulin resistance and consequently leading on down the path of type 2 diabetes. Number 4 is processed meats. Processed meats such as dairy, bacon, hot dogs. These are very high in sodium. They are very high in preservatives, as well as a lot of other chemicals that are very well known to be pro-inflammatory. Matter of fact, some of these chemicals have been linked to certain cancers, including colon cancer. So that is one type of food that we really should be paying a close attention to if we want to reduce inflammation in the body or reduce the risks that they pose. Number 5 is fried foods. Fried foods such as French fries, which I know people love a lot, especially kids, mozzarella sticks, donuts. These are very high in calories as well as saturated fats, which are known to cause inflammation. Fried foods produce certain chemicals in the body called advanced glycation end products. We call them AGEs for short. And these have been known to directly cause inflammation in the body. Number 6 is excessive alcohol. Consuming excessive alcohol has been directly linked to chronic inflammation, which can set people down the path of liver disease, pancreatitis, and other health problems. One of the ways by which excessive alcohol actually causes problems like inflammation is that, number 1, it increases the concentration or the level of certain kinds of bacteria in the gut. And not only do the levels of these bacteria increase, what happens also is that the intestinal walls become more permeable, or they become more porous, so to speak. So the bacteria are able to leak out of the gut, they get into the systemic circulation, release what we call endotoxins, and these have inflammatory properties and can cause other problems, including even affecting the brain or even affecting the liver. So pro tip, you really need to be going easy on that alcohol. Number 7 is some cooking oils, excessive use of some cooking oils. Now, some cooking oils are known to have high levels of omega-6. Now, omega-6 is not necessarily a bad thing because your body uses it for energy and things of that sort. However, there is a delicate balance that is maintained between omega-6 and omega-3. If that delicate balance is destroyed by consuming too much omega-6, it results in inflammation because omega-6 has inflammatory properties. Some common cooking oils that contain omega-6 include sunflower oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, and corn oil. So these are ones that you need to be paying attention to. So let me know in the comments, which one are you most guilty of and which one are you working to reduce or eliminate? On your screen now is a video detailing the opposite side of the spectrum. These are foods that actually have anti-inflammatory properties. Enjoy, stay blessed. Catch you on the next video.